Today we're going to go through the installation process and assembly of our Massif Bike Rack carry.
Because none of the current bike racks on the market are designed for vertical hanging on a rear door solution, we decided to come up with our own. This one's designed to hold quite a lot of weight. So we've designed it so that we can rate it up to about 100 pounds of bike weight, which is a lot. Today we're going to be mounting some 45-pound bikes.
Optional tools for making adjustments later. To begin the assembly process, we're going to take one of our 5/16 carriage bolts and one of our long arms. We're going to locate the single hole side and we're going to start the carriage bolt in. We're going to grab one of our nylock nuts for 5/16. You'll notice that there is a long taper and a short taper. We're going to go towards the long taper edge, take the arm and put it on the inside, place it through, and then start the nut. Once that's started, just lay it down, and we're going to repeat the process for the other side. Grab another nut, grab another bolt, start the carriage bolt in, place that in, lay it down, and get it started until it hits the nylock. We're going to grab another one. This time we're going to grab our short arm. There's a square hole and a round hole. We're going to take the square hole again and put the carriage bolt in. We're going to go up to our top and start that in, lay it down, and put on another nylock nut, repeating the process on the other side. We're going to grab our last two and two more of our nuts. That'll leave one nut remaining. We're going to bring this arm up to vertical and this arm to the outside. All of our carriage bolts are going to run from the inside out, so there's nothing poking your tire. So you're going to take your 5/16 carriage bolt, start it in through the square, line it up through that round hole, and lightly get that started. Repeating the process on the other side by bringing your arm up, starting the carriage bolt in, through the round, and start. Now we're going to grab the last three pieces, which is our front roller, our long 5/16 bolt, and our last nut. If you're on a 29er, you're going to use the outer of the two holes, and if you're on a 27.5, you're going to be on the second hole. So we'll start this bolt through, pass it through our roller, get it started on the other side, and now we have everything roughly assembled. For tightening, you're going to need a 1/2 inch, either a standard 1/2 inch wrench. In this case, we're going to start it using an impact, but we're not going to actually finish tightening anything until we do. So we're just going to run it in most of the way. You want to be careful not to tighten it all the way, because you could make it so that it jams up and this one would fall out and not want to be able to slightly align. So now that all three are tight, you could go back and lightly do all of them, and then we would finish tightening these by hand, just checking to make sure that they are tight and consistent. Spin it around and repeat the process on the other side. And now your bike rack is fully assembled. You have a ratchet strap and buckle here, release and through. Should you need to, this is designed to hang in this orientation. So this will be mounted towards the top. This will be to the bottom. This is designed to secure the wheel and hold it just as a secondary. The main force is going to be holding it just by gravity into this hoop. That's the design of the hoop. Should you need to, because of where your wheel falls and sits, this has multiple adjustment points where you can locate this strap. That would require a 3mm hex Allen and a 8mm wrench on the back side. So you would take a 8mm on the inside on the nut and a 3mm Allen on the outside, loosen this bolt up, slide it, and put it back in order to grab your wheel where it needs to be for your bikes. On the lower end of things, not much need for any adjustment. This is designed to slide. We're gonna mostly use the hole sides towards the top and the non-hole be towards the bottom. And this will adjust depending on the wheelbase length of your bike. For mounting to the Massif, we have 3/8 carriage bolts, shipped with a total of 7 nuts, 7 bolts. You need at least 2 in the lower and 3 in the upper. That's only 5. There are some options to use more on the top, or there's a different lower wheel mount. The Massif Bike Rack is designed to mount either to this outer rail, could mount to the middle rail, or even the outer rail. On the outer rails, if you were doing just 2 bikes alone, you could either mount one on the far right and or far left rails. You could mount one on the far right and in the middle a little bit, or you could potentially cheat them both to the middle. In any case, you're gonna have 2 to 4 inches of stagger minimum between bikes. So if this one were mounted at that height, the next one over would be mounted at that height. If we're on the outer rail, we might go here, here, and up here. The lower wheel chock. Standard mount for the outside rail is gonna look like this. And it's actually gonna end up mounting somewhere from between here and maybe a little bit down below the bottom of the Massif. Depends on the wheelbase and how high up you mount your upper wheel hoop. If you're mounting in the middle, you'll want the middle mount. This is our middle rear wheel chock, and it's designed to sit here. This is one of those cases where with those extra couple bolts we sent you, you're gonna use 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. So there's where your extra 4 are gonna go.
You can see here we've got it designed either to mount on the vertical rail, or this one is actually mounted in the center. Because of the distance to the Promaster, how it's set up, these 2 Massifs, we really don't want our left bike rack to be mounted on this left rail. It is possible, but only if we have either a smaller box or a tire carrier or something that's not quite as in the way as our Mega 28 box. We're mounting using 3/8 carriage bolts on our rails or our cross member. Ideally, the height's going to be a little bit taller than you are, whoever's the shortest that's going to be mounting. If you look closely, there's actually 2 different mounting holes that allows this front roller to move either for a 29 or a 27.5. Running 27.5 wheels, we're going to use this hole. If we're using a 29, we'll move our roller out to this outer position. Today we're mounting 27.5 bikes, so we're in the further back position. As for mounting goes, you'll notice that these are staggered. One lower and one higher. Currently we're at a 4-inch stagger. That's going to depend on your handlebars. Because the handlebars are going to be sitting perfectly level rather than at an angle like most hitch-mounted vertical racks, we need to have a stagger in the bike rack itself so that the handlebars don't interfere. Depending on the bikes, sometimes you can get away with 2 inches of stagger. Currently we have 4 just due to this type of handlebars. For loading, I like to load lifting with my left hand and holding the handlebar with my right. So I've got it going low to high. If you like lifting with your right hand, balancing with your left, you would mount the left low and go higher on the right. But you're always gonna start with the low bike. So we're gonna start with this guy. This is a 50-pound bike. Lifting our bike vertically from the frame and holding onto the handlebar. We're gonna drop our front wheel into our hoop. Drop it in, and then we have a ratchet to secure the upper wheel, and another one for the rear. These will slide to find the center. So just get that close. We're not trying to actually hold the bike tight, we're just trying to make sure that it can't bounce around. And then we're gonna secure the top. If you need to rotate the wheel a little, you can. For our second bike, we're gonna roll our bike up onto its rear wheel again, grab it from the frame, guide it in, feed through our ratchets. Depending on your configuration, we can get upwards of 3 bikes on one Massif or 2 bikes in a box on some configurations. Because we've got a large box on this Promaster, we won't have room to put a center box, but we could use this as a ladder to climb up onto the top. If we were mounting this on a Sprinter chassis or a Ford chassis, the way that the Massif mounts is a little bit more outboard, so we have more room in between. So we'd be able to mount this left bike on the left rail and our right bike on our right rail, and we would have room in the middle for a Ski 4 or a Cinti box. Having spent my whole life in a bike shop, my family owned one for about 30 years, we really like mountain biking and road riding and just biking in general. So this was quite important to us to come up with a bike solution, especially as e-bikes become more prevalent in the industry. This is going to become more and more of a necessity to have a vertical bike rack that will take e-bikes. The reason that we want to mount vertically at all, rather than maybe a horizontal, if we do a horizontal bike rack, for one, we have to lift this bike now. Instead of just lifting it this high, we have to lift it up here. And we lose the ability, like on this one, you can see we've got a box and a tire or a ski box. Neither of those are compatible with horizontally mounted bikes. So the ability to do vertical and potentially a ski box in the middle of these two suits my family perfectly. We like to bike and ski. And if I can keep my box on there year round and do biking and skiing, turn it from a ski locker into a bike locker, that's the best of both worlds for me.